I believe America is in the midst of a cultural crisis. Not just America, but the West in general. We have no great mission. We have no great war. We have no cultural objective. In fact, we don't really like each other all that much. The politics, at least in the US and in Western nations, is dividing among more than just two lines. Although we typically refer to the factions as the left and the right, it's actually kind of different. It's really funny when I hear people say things like, some conservatives have said, the real culture war is nationalist versus globalist. Then you hear other people say that it's capitalist versus socialist. Then you have some people say it is authoritarian versus libertarian. I believe it's authoritarian versus libertarian. I wouldn't consider myself a nationalist. I think that given a long enough period of time, we will have a global one world government or culture of some sort. I'm not saying we should or shouldn't. I think it's inevitable. And that's why it's important to make sure we have protections against the rise of authoritarianism. And some people have said to me in response to that, it's about authoritarian globalism. And I'm like, okay, okay. Anyway, here's the story. American kids would much rather be YouTubers than astronauts. And I saw this last week. It's almost 2 weeks old now, this story. And I was thinking about recording on it, but I didn't. And then I said I really should. Because I had a conversation about religion, the importance of religion. When I was younger, grew up Catholic. I then became hardcore far-left atheist, hated the religious people when I was in my early teen years, and then had kind of a profound moment when I was like 18 or 19 that made me realize there probably is something important about religion. I've told this story before, but I'll tell it now. I met this like well-known skateboarder, and so I was like really excited, thought the person was cool, and it was me as like a young person hanging out with some older, more well-known skateboarder, and I went to his house, he had a picture of Jesus on the wall. And I immediately, as the, anarcho, left-wing atheist, we have Jesus on your wall. You're a Christian or something? And he was like, no. And I was like, then why do you have Jesus on your wall? And he said, I just thought a story about a guy traveling around, helping people was kind of cool. And I was like, oh, that's a really good point. That is a cool story. Like, how do you argue against that? That is cool. Like, somebody going around helping people, that's a good thing, right? Can't deny that. So, of course, I've always been like, there's a lot of bad things that have come from religion. The reason I bring up this story is that was a moment for me where I started listening to other people's worldviews instead of just assuming they were idiots. And then I learned a lot and allowed me to be kind of, I guess, decently smart. I don't think I'm the smartest person in the world, but I think I've got an edge in some degrees. And I think the advantage I have is not necessarily that I'm smarter than anybody, but that I'm willing to listen because of moments like that. There were some other really interesting moments I had arguing with people who were religious. And maybe the reality is I've always been willing to listen, and that's why. But I do think there was somebody who was like a left-wing individual who I thought was who I thought was respectable. All of a sudden now bringing to me a religious argument in a sense that was very light, very simple, and meant something. Now here's why I bring up the religion in the context of this. For the longest time, as a culture, we are predominantly Christian. We still kind of are. It's like 73% of people in this country, according to Gallup, believe God played a role in creating human life, be it creationism or guiding evolution. So religion still plays a massive role in this country. But there was a cohesive moral set for a long time. Like, we were really very much aligned. We're not so much anymore. Morals are dramatically different and changing every day. And we have a left now that is defending Antifa and far-left extremism because they believe their morals are superior. And because of this, here's the point I'm trying to get to. There are people who are driven by do good, protect your family, work hard, protect others, etc. A lot of this is based in Judeo-Christian values. It really is, whether anyone wants to recognize it or not. I'm not saying you need religion to be moral, but a lot of our morals do come from religion. Over time, we've gotten rid of the bad parts, we've reformed, and now these values have led us to the point where, most notably, I bring this up, innocent until proven guilty. Blackstone's formulation, which is rooted in the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. I read about that and I was really like, that's kind of amazing. We came up with these concepts, we've refined them, and it's led us to a moral society. Jonathan Haidt's research says that I could be getting this wrong, but conservatives are concerned about protecting and maintaining a moral society. And that includes justice and fairness, but it also includes loyalty, sanctity, and authority, some things that the left doesn't see. The reason I bring this up in context to the astronaut question is because our culture in the United States is having a cultural and morality crisis. Most young people in the United Kingdom and the United States want to be YouTubers. They don't want to be astronauts. Why be a YouTuber? It's very simple. Because people will love you. Well, what these young people don't understand, I guess, as they look up to famous YouTubers, is that an equal amount of people will hate you. Maybe not an equal amount, but a decent amount of people hate you. A lot of people hate me. You know, it is what it is. Being an astronaut is being something great. You're accomplishing something, you're risking your life, and you're one of the few, the best of the best of the best, who has made it to be able to survive and work in those conditions to help advance the cause of humanity. That is a tremendous and powerful adventure and mission and passion. Chinese children have that, we don't. So this says something to me. As a culture, the reason I bring up religion is that without purpose, we become depressed. We're seeing people commit suicides are going up across the board a lot. I could be wrong about that, but that's just my general understanding from what the articles I've read. Why? No purpose. So what people search for then is some kind of validation when there is no guiding principle. I'm not saying you need religion for this, but I do believe religion filled that gap for a lot of people. They had a mission, they had a purpose. It was faith in the Lord. As we become more atheist, more agnostic, even though we're still not entirely, we see the rise of secular religions like intersectionality. There's original sin, there's dogma, there's no real rules, it's just faith to the system. Join or die, they say. They attack people in the street, they accuse them of being another. It's very much so like an archaic religion. Interestingly, Christianity grew out of the more beat the people who don't agree with you phase thousands of years ago through the modern reforms. The other thing, I think there's things that tie this all together, especially with this story. For one, there is a mission in China. They do want to be great. They want to be astronauts, teachers, musicians. We mostly want to be vloggers on YouTube. Look at me. I'm literally doing that right now. I never planned to be. It's not something I want to be when I was younger, but I admit that I've talked a lot in my life, so here I am. But this goes in line with what we're seeing with the rise of the secular religion of intersectionality, in that a lot of what drives intersectional feminism, which I believe is a secular, it's a non-theistic religion, is likes and shares and attention. People go on Twitter and they'll post a silly hot take, right? Recently, someone complained that when they ordered clothing from, I believe it was Forever 21, they got a free protein bar. And they got angry because they ordered plus-sized clothing, not realizing the protein bar went to everyone. It was an Atkins protein bar, which is still just a protein bar, but Atkins is associated with weight loss, so here it comes. And there it was. The faux outrage. Were they really mad they got a free protein bar? Is for real? You give me a free anything, I'm gonna be like, cool. You can give me free lipstick, I'll be like, don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but hey, cool. Free stuff. I'll give it to somebody else. They'll be happy about it. You find a quarter? Hey, it's just a quarter, but hey, free quarter, right? No, these people are outraged. No, they're not really outraged, is what I want to say. They're pretending to be outraged to get clicks and get attention. Without purpose, we see people become depressed. They then crave attention. How do you get attention? In the past, you achieve something great. Maybe you become an astronaut. How do you achieve attention today and praise? Be a YouTuber, because there is nothing left. Our culture doesn't promote any kind of adventure, any kind of morality, any kind of common good. And that's going to lead to our, destruction in the end, at least the way I see it. Because when you have a generation, 30% of young people who just want to be YouTubers when they grow up, well, how many YouTubers do we really need? You certainly don't need me or anybody else. At least I think so. I got to admit, I'm really surprised and grateful that so many people want to watch me talk about my feelings. I just turn the camera on and it's kind of therapeutic. I can vent about how I feel about, and what I see, but I guess a lot of people find value in it. So that's a good thing. But what I do is kind of, it's not the biggest market. Political commentary is important. I'm talking about the issues and the problems we face. And I can recognize that, critical of myself as I might be. But a lot of the YouTubers and vloggers are people who just walk around doing nothing. And I mean that. Casey Neistat makes amazing vlog content, or he did daily for a long time. But a lot of his content was just him doing his life. I think Casey pulled ahead in terms of being a vlogger because he was interesting and was doing, great things. Even though most of his content might be like, I saw one where he went to the grocery store. So think about the kids who want to be that. What do you want to be when you grow up? A guy at a grocery store who films himself. You ask the Chinese kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they say, I want to go to the stars. I want to colonize other planets. I want to work in the International Space Station. That is greatness. That is being historical, being valuable. But you know what? Our culture is this is why I am not a proponent of laissez-faire capitalism, because when you let capitalism run wild, what do you get? You get people who just want to be YouTubers. I want to be famous, they say when I grow up. I'm not advocating for socialism or communism. No, I just think there should be some kind of cohesive cultural force, and I don't know how or what it is. The point is, for the longest time, it was religion that kept us as a community. We were like, these are our values and our beliefs, we must protect them. For a little while after that, it was about our country, America, nationalism per se. And now we don't even have that. So what do you get? A bunch of narcissistic kids spitting in ice cream because they want to get clicks on the internet, while the rest of them go around with bike locks bashing people over the head because they just have no purpose and they're depressed. And so they think Trump is the only thing that gives them purpose. And this is true for people, for millennials who support Trump too. That is their purpose. That is their fight. But at least their fight still makes sense. At least saying you support the president still makes sense, even if the president is a bad person. If that's the opinion, I'm saying for the media claiming he is. Well, at least they're saying I have a mission. Antifa, the far left, social justice, is just about getting clicks and traffic. And it's about a delusion the world is ending. Whereas the Trump supporters' mission is we're having fun and we're poking fun at the establishment and they like the president's policies, even if he says bad things from time to time. In the end, I think Trump isn't the solution we need as himself. Okay, if Trump institutes some kind of cultural program for going to the moon, whatever, he's talking about it. That's what we need. That's a good thing. Elon Musk also does great in this regard. But I don't know what the solution is, but I'm going to end it by saying this. Unless we as a country, as the Western world, actually start fighting for something great, we're going to have a bunch of narcissistic children who don't fight for anything. Stick around. One more segment coming up in a few minutes. I will see you shortly.